everybody, this is John for MTG Nexus coming at you with another Modern Quick Hits. As a friendly reminder, if you like especially modern content, please consider subscribing to the channel, as we aim to be the most informative modern channel on YouTube, with some Pioneer and Legacy thrown in, with an emphasis on Lightning Bolt based decks. So, I could rehash a lot of the decks that we've already seen kind of dominating the format or doing well since the banning of Arkham's Astrolabe, but instead I wanted to highlight a deck that kind of popped up out of nowhere but has had some pedigree in other formats. This is a deck that pseudo popped up at the beginning of Pioneer, and this is Soulflayer dot deck. Pretty much the entire deck is built around Soulflayer. It is also a deck that used to exist in Modern when Faithless Looting was legal. It was kind of a deck you would see pop up on occasion. And the entire deck is geared around the card Soulflayer. So the way this card reads, if a card with flying was exiled from Soulflayer's Delve ability, Soulflayer has flying. The same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Test, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance. So basically, whatever keywords you delve away with Soulflayer, Soulflayer gets that ability. And then to aid in that, you have things like Gather the Pack, Grizzly Salvage, and Lotlatrol to get stuff into the graveyard in various different ways, either by milling them or by discarding them if you happen to draw them with Lotlatrol. Bomat Courier kind of helps in the same way, but also offers the keyword Haste. And then beyond that, you have 4 copies of Traverse the Uvenwald to find additional copies of Soulflayer. This basically gives you 8 virtual copies of Soulflayer, although you don't have a lot of ways to turn on Traverse. You have some artifacts, some enchantments. Most of your deck is creatures, sorceries. There are very few instances. You have Grizzly Salvage, basically, and Lightning Axe. So a lot of different ways to try to hit Traverse, but it's not always guaranteed. And then, as far as keyword monsters here, obviously Bomat Courier offers Haste. Klothys offers Indestructible, in addition to being a difficult threat for some decks to deal with. Gorkland Rampager offers Trample, Questing Beast, Vigilance, Death Test, and Haste. Samut here is Double Strike, Vigilance, and Haste. And then Drug Skull Reaver is Flying, Double Strike, and Lifelink. And then Zeptala is kind of the keyword jackpot, Flying, Double Strike, Vigilance, Trample, and Indestructible. And then Sylvan Caryatid, in addition to being a mana accelerator, also can offer Hexproof to your Soulflayer. Fortunately, it does not get Defender. So the best draws in this deck are turn 3 Soulflayers. You can Grizzly Salvage or Gather the Pack into a turn 3 Soulflayer potentially. Both these cards do allow you to pick up a Soulflayer. And then the sideboard, you have some interactive stuff pretty much. As a graveyard-based deck, you have some Abrupt Decays and an Ancient Grudge here to deal with any type of hate cards. Thoughtseize allows you to disrupt whatever your opponent's doing, along with Collective Brutality is another way to kind of get around certain things. Veil of Summer to protect your creatures a little bit, along with a Cavern of Souls for counterspells. Ashiok Dreamrender is kind of a artifact or a opposing graveyard hate card while also milling you a little bit, and then Lightning Axe when you need to deal with your opponent's creatures. And then one deck that does kind of go over the top of what you are doing and can get around some of the effects on Soulflayer is Tron. So 3 copies of Dampening Sphere does make a ton of sense. So that said, let's hop into a queue and see what this deck can do. For our match with Soulflayer, try to put a good look. This hand would be great if we had lands, but unfortunately we don't, so unfortunately it's a mulligan. This hand has what we're looking for, so definitely a keep. Back a Traverse. Hopefully our Gather the Pack is nice to us. Opponent is on a Luris deck, so could get some mill. Merfolk maybe. Okay. Not exactly the best hits here. So we're probably up against Merfolk. Okay. Shock this in. That way we can't get Curse Catchered. Wow. So we're basically going to have a Hexproof 4/4, which seems pretty bad. Our mill effects were not kind to us here. The sideboard looks like we have some Abrupt K's and Lightning Axes for this kind of matchup. See if they counter this. Let's grab the basic swamp. Samut. Okay. Wizards retort out of Merfolk. Okay. So if we draw another, green source, and we live, we can play Lotla Troll. Looks like they're just going to have the counter spell. This for a Zaptala. lifelink 1, so we get what? Drug Skull? 2 flying double strike and lifelink. Just go ahead and pitch this. Drug Skull, Created. Given a counterspell, we're dead anyway, so. Alright, so you were just bluffing? Sure. Pretty sure we're dead anyway. And you fire up Mutavolt and get in, I'm pretty sure we're dead. We go to 9 and then take. Actually, if I'd blocked here, was I dead? 2. No, I screwed up. Okay. Should have blocked there. Because then I would have gone to taken 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, I should have blocked on Lord of Atlantis with first strike. Okay, so we had a chance to at least kind of turn the game around there. Probably interested in Lightning Axe. Collective Brutality is a little slow here. Could bring in a couple of Decays just to have some outs to any type of hard graveyard hate. Because ironically, Cage doesn't stop what we're doing, but some of the other stuff does. Clothis is a little slow here. Not Courier. Could bring in Thoughtseizes to play around counter spells, but I don't think that's the best way to go about this. Hand's pretty good. Can always shoot something this turn if we have to. a spell pierce or some kind of nonsense. They decide they're going to spell snare this for some reason. If that's in their deck, that's fine too. Yeah, the funny part is if I block the Lord, we go to 1, can swing back for 9, or for 8, I mean. Sure. Problem is our opponent's never going to get priority here. Not really a whole lot going on there. Just a lot with Troll. Or for Trampler, not the most impressive card in the world, but it's a card. Okay. Need to play. Got rid of a land from our opponent. They don't have Force of Negation, which is nice. Fortunately, we don't have the most impressive of Soulflayers. But yeah, going back to last game, if we had blocked on the Lord, they would have hit us for 8. Could have swung back for 8. And then Lotla Troll and anything we top decked, we might have been able to get back into that game. Guess we're not terribly far off from casting that. Because of the carried 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we can actually cast it next turn. Was not expecting to be able to ever cast this card. Oh, there's Luris. See how they block. I miss lethal. How many times am I going to punt in this match? Sure. Okie dokie. So it looks like their form of Graveyard Hate is Remorseless Cleric. I could potentially bring in like a one Veil of Summer, but that seems really kind of sketch. Sounds fine. Yeah, I've gathered the traverse into a land. Hopefully we find a third land, because we can't cast Soulflayer off of our basic forest. Sure. Traverse for other basic swamp. What you got, friend? Silvergull Adept revealing Benthic Biomancer. Sure. So the big problem is our creature doesn't have hexproof. Like, Indestructible's cool and all, but against Trickster and whatchamacallit, it gets really bad. Remorseless Clerk. Yep. Sure. So Ether Vial, sure. So if I could had another green source I could traverse for Lotleth Troll and pitch Samut. I think we just might have to play Gorklan Rampager as a blocker. I guess we're going to take quite the beating this turn. 3, 6, 9. Does green source change things? Probably not. Sure, there's nothing I'm missing here that we could get. Questing Beast isn't quite good enough. We have no lifelinkers for lower than 3 mana. See what we can get here. If this just doesn't get countered. Can I get a Bowmat to chump block? But the problem becomes mana, because I can only play Bowmat plus a Flayer this turn, and we're taking 2 to cast it, because I have no more basics in my deck. So yeah, unfortunately we're just dead. My punt in game 1 came back to get us. So I think overall we saw like some of the positives and some of the negatives of this list. Like, without Faithless Looting, obviously this deck is a good bit less consistent than it was when it had looting in Modern. But a lot of these things, other than, I think, Drogskull Reaver, are legal in Pioneer. So, can definitely see how this deck had some power in Pioneer at points. Yeah, definitely some miscues on my part with some of the, like, I should have blocked Lord of Atlantis because of how First Strike works, taking 8 in game 1, and then game 2, you know, we had a couple of small punts that could have easily cost us in some spots, but fortunately we were able to pull that game out. But yeah, this deck has been quite impressive. The few times I run up against it, usually I'm playing Burn and I get hit by like a turn 3 Soulflayer with double strike and lifelink, and it's like, oh, okay, well, that was fun. So definitely the deck is fun. Can definitely see the consistency issues though, and I think sequencing problems on my part, not necessarily sequencing spells correctly, but you know, we saw that absurd 4/4 indestructible double striking whatever we had going on there on like turn 5 or turn 6, and can still turn around against an entire board full of merfolk. So, you know, if you want a kind of powerful, a little bit off the wall deck, this is certainly a deck that's worth exploring, and certainly a deck that's fun. And I thought I would kind of showcase it a little bit today, even if I didn't necessarily play it the best. So this has been John for MTG Nexus with a Modern Quick Hits. If you like this kind of content, please leave a comment down below, and even if you don't like it, please leave a comment down below and let me know what you kind of think of these kind of deck techs. This has been John for MTG Nexus.